Hi, everybody, and welcome to our virtual field trip. This is the second one of this school year, and we are so excited for you guys to be able to join in with us with Palm Beach County Environmental Resource Management at our Mosquito Control Center. Do not forget that you guys do need to be logged on with your district accounts. You will not be able to see the chat in the YouTube, so you will need to make sure that if you do have questions that you would like to ask our scientists in the field, that you are asking through Poll Everywhere. You have two options for Poll Everywhere. You can go ahead and respond on the computer using a tab at pollev.com/PBCERM216, or you can text to the number 37607 PBCERM216, and then once you do that, it will log you on and you can ask as many questions as you would like to. Please remember that the more active you are with asking questions, the more that you will learn on this experience. Remember that we will get to questions in a timely manner, so do not spam the chat by asking the same question multiple times. I promise you we will get to it. Sometimes we will have some lagginess in the field, so also please be graceful with the fact that we may every once in a while get a little bit of a frozen video or audio problems, or they may even get logged off, and we will go ahead and get them back on. So again, have fun, ask questions, get involved. Hopefully you guys will learn something. And at the very end is when the Google Form attendance will appear. So I will go ahead and let ERM take it away, and have fun, everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sam. Usually you don't see me. I'm usually behind the camera. And today I'm filling in for Alicia and Benji, and we are at ERM's Mosquito Control Division. And today we're going to take a walk through with some of the staff scientists here and learn all about mosquito control and entomology and how it plays a role in keeping us safe here in Palm Beach County. Let's go take a look. So there's 15 different staff that work here all year long at Mosquito Control, and they keep us safe, as I mentioned before. And their jobs are kind of multifaceted. They don't just have one job, they actually do 4 different jobs. They do field biology, which you've seen with Benji and Alicia. They also do laboratory science, and that's something new that we really haven't covered with some of the work that ERM does. They also do computer data analysis, and finally they do public outreach. So they have a lot of different roles that they play, and so it's pretty interesting. So here is one of the staff entomologists at Mosquito Control. This is Steve.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Steve. Thanks for meeting with us and kind of giving us an idea of what happens at Mosquito Control and what you guys do. So, Steve, can you give us a little background about Mosquito Control in Palm Beach County and why we have it?
Sure. Before mosquito control was around, life was rough in Florida. There was no AC. It was a really tough place to live in. So one of the things we do here is controlling mosquitoes that helps make people more comfortable to live in South Florida. We've been around since about the 1940s. We have a lot of different things we do to keep the populations in check. One interesting story, there's reports from back early 1900s of clouds of mosquitoes so thick that they suffocated cattle. So
wow, that's pretty crazy, Steve. So for our comfort, and also you guys work a lot with the health department and keeping those mosquito diseases from getting out of control, because those mosquitoes, they can carry a lot of diseases, right?
We sure do. That was one of the big things with settlement, just was keeping people from getting sick from the various diseases that mosquitoes can transmit.
Gosh, so how do these mosquitoes how do they reproduce? Like, how do they multiply so quick and become a problem?
Well, there's a lot to it, but let's go in the lab and we can show you, how they do their thing.
All right, let's go.
This is the Palm Beach County Mosquito Control Lab. My coworker, EJ, is over here working on the collection of mosquitoes right now. You can see all the different tools we have.
Come check out this collection of mosquito I got over here.
Oh my gosh, EJ. Oh, that makes my skin crawl.
Got a couple of thousand of them right there.
Woo. So obviously that's a lot of mosquitoes. how do they reproduce so that there's so many of them? Like, do they go through a special life cycle or something?
Well, let's take a closer look over here on this side of the lab. We've got a good graphic of the life cycle to show everyone. All right, so if we're looking here, here's a good explanation. Mosquitoes have 4 stages in their life cycle. They have an egg, what's called a larva, an immature stage that grows up in water, a pupa stage when they're going through metamorphosis into an adult, and then an adult stage that flies.
So one mosquito can lay a lot of eggs, right?
They sure can. They all do it a little bit differently, but some of them lay up to 100 or 200 at once.
Wow. So how many different types of mosquitoes are there, Steve?
Well, there's thousands worldwide. In Florida, we have about 80. Palm Beach County, we're generally looking at closer to 20 or 30 on a regular basis.
Wow. 30 different species.
Yeah.
Yikes. So you've got some live pupa from the life cycle here on display. Can we
That was pupa.
can we take a look at those and
Sure.
see them in action?
Let's see.
Let's take a closer look here. So we've got a couple different kinds that we collected earlier today, and if we look really close, this is the larva stage that I mentioned. Needs water to
Oh, and
do
look
their
at
thing
that.
while they're growing up. But if you look closely, you can see they call them wigglers too, because they kind of twist around while they're going through the water. But they have a tube on the end of them that they have to attach to the surface of the water to breathe. So that's an interesting thing about their anatomy.
And these are just different kinds over in this one?
There's a couple different kinds here. One of them came out of a bromeliad and another one out of a flooded ditch.
So bromeliad is just like a plant that holds water in its leaves, right?
Let me try this view to see if can you see this view?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Can you see them kind of moving around?
We definitely can see the movement. The students do have some questions coming in. None of them have been on the life cycle, but I don't know if you guys plan on addressing these questions. And they go someplace else in the segment. But they would like to know about the diseases. They'd like to know what kind of diseases you guys have seen from the mosquitoes in our county within the past few months or in general. And then what are the chances of, if we get bit from a mosquito, us actually getting a disease from the mosquitoes if they carry one?
Well, right now we're in a good patch. There hasn't been a whole lot of disease action in the state. But recently, last year, a lot of West Nile virus. If anybody remembers Zika back in 2016, we'll also see Eastern equine encephalitis. Dengue virus is another one that's like a Caribbean subtropical kind of thing. As far as your chance of actually contracting one of these, it's extremely low because mosquito control is in place. We've done a good job of keeping the numbers low and mitigating that risk. So, but right now we're in a good place with it.
The students had one more question that just came in that you might be able to answer in this type of area. So do you know what state they are most popular in as far as, I guess, having the most population of mosquitoes?
Low population, the most?
The most
The most
population.
and the lowest.
What state, or if it is us, what area of the state?
In the United States?
Yeah, so
Yes.
what areas, are you talking just Florida or the United States?
They'd like to know United States, but I mean, if you want to even bring in other areas, if you know other areas and want to bring that in, if Caribbean
Florida
is a
is
factor.
one of the worst places to live for mosquitoes. We get it worse than anywhere else. I mean, we don't have a cold frost season, anything coastal, Texas, even Southern California, but there's mosquitoes in Alaska too. So they can be pretty voracious even in their little bit of time they get to breed and do their thing. But Florida is like at the forefront of it and really leads a lot of the technology in the industry.
Is Florida kind of in the forefront because of our climate maybe? I don't know. We've got a lot of wetlands and rain. Could that maybe help with mosquito population increases over time?
Yeah, we're in the perfect place for mosquitoes to breed and propagate.
And the one thing they need is water, right? That's what I've always heard, that they have to have water to complete their life cycle.
without water, mosquitoes cannot live, and that's important to know for controlling them as well.
Okay.
All right.
All right,
Students are asking, what's the importance of mosquitoes? So we know that all organisms do have some sort of importance within ecosystems in general. So if we're trying to control them because we don't want to get bitten, what is their purpose in our ecosystems?
Well, everything on the planet has a place in the ecosystem in whatever environment it's in. Outside of us not actually being able to eliminate every single mosquito, it's just, we don't even know the implications if it were to happen. So they serve a very important part. There's other animals that, utilize them for what they do for their life cycle. So there is a negative that we're always looking at because that's our concern with it, but they also do a lot of positive in the environment if you look at it from an environmental scale.
Okay, so they have a role.
In the big food web.
They're part of the food chain.
All right. And now you have a bunch of kids that are starting to ask about how do you exactly catch and test the mosquitoes?
That's perfect segue. That was what I was going to ask. How do we catch them? How do we figure things out? So how do you guys survey and surveillance for mosquitoes? How do you catch them?
Well, I'll show you guys over here. We have a trap set up. This is a light trap. It has a cooler up here. We put dry ice in there, and so when dry ice starts to melt, it'll emit CO2, which is what we breathe when we talk, and that actually is what draws mosquitoes into us. So the mosquitoes, they catch this wind, they're coming in, and then we call it a light trap because it's got a fan. It's got this little light bulb in there, and so when the mosquito gets close, he sees that light bulb. He comes in here, and then there's a fan running right here, and it'll suck him down into this catch chamber. And so we use these traps on a regular basis. We have areas that we have been monitoring adult mosquito populations for close to 30 years throughout the county. We set 17 of these twice a week throughout the county. We also have the inspectors. If they have complaints in certain areas, they'll set these up temporarily also. So yeah, it comes down to the catch chamber.
So quick review, we got
CO2, we got our ice bucket, kind of drawing them in. And then when they get close, they're gonna hit that light bulb, fly in toward this little space here, go through that fan and go down to the cup. And so if you think about it, how much space, is out there and for the mosquito to fly in there. And so we'll get collections. You guys saw over on the table, that could be 5,000 mosquitoes. So, if you really start to think about 5,000 of them went right through here. How many were just flying just outside of the room that didn't even get sucked up into the trap?
Oh my gosh. Makes me want to itch.
It's crazy.
So I guess we set up a trap yesterday. It's outside. It's running right now. We're gonna go outside. We're gonna go pick it up and see what we got.
Oh yeah, let's
Okay.
go get it.
all right. So tell them that we're gonna be
right,
hanging on.
Yep, so as they are walking, we may have some connectivity issues, so just kind of hang on. Alicia, would this be a good time to play that video while you guys are going out there, or not yet? Not yet? Okay.
Not yet.
Not yet, because you want
I just want to make sure we don't miss showing them the video, because I do have it
Yeah,
up.
no, we've got that a little bit later. It'll be tied in a lot better and make more sense.
Perfect, just let me know when.
Okay.
All right, so hang on. We're going out in the field.
If you guys can hear questions while you guys are walking, a question came in about, for the life cycle, which stage of their life cycle is the longest?
Steve or EJ, which phase of the mosquito's life cycle is the longest?
Usually it's going to be the adult life cycle. They can live up to months on some occasions. The larval stage generally goes pretty quick, but it can take longer in the wintertime too. Usually it's only a week, 2 weeks from larva to adult mosquito.
Okay.
And then do you guys know how many species of mosquitoes we have worldwide? That was another question that came through.
Do you know how many mosquitoes there are worldwide?
The species of them.
No idea. Trillions or beyond.
All right, hang on.
So guys, I think this is the field biology part of it. You can hear traffic to one side and you can see all this dense vegetation. That's a little different than when Benji took you guys out. You didn't have all this traffic and noise. So when the mosquito control folks go out, they're out and about near people too. They're not out just in the woods in the wilderness enjoying all the peace and quiet. They're kind of dodging traffic, dealing with noise.
Those of you guys that are asking questions about identifying characteristics and how do they know the different species, they will show us that. So we're going to hold on for your questions until we get back into the lab.
How are we doing on video?
We're doing pretty good on video. It's a little laggy, but we're doing very well.
Okay. Let me get in. Yeah. Ooh.
So this trap was set overnight. Let's take a look and see if anything's in here.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay.
Do you guys ever get bit when you're out here? I feel like I'm already getting bit.
Yeah, right now.
So a lot of what we do is we have inspectors. They come out into the woods like this. They stand around, and we literally do called landing rate count. So we don't wear bug spray. We're out here. We start looking at our legs and arms, and we'll actually calculate how many mosquitoes are biting us per minute. So
Wow.
sometimes it's only a couple per minute. Sometimes you're hightailing it out of here. So when you got mosquitoes like that, something's got to change. Something's going on, and mosquito control when it rains and pours. So
Yeah.
that's usually how it goes.
Wow, you guys really are like sacrificial lambs here. With
Yeah,
mosquitoes.
somebody's got to do it.
So can you just that's a scientific term, landing rate, and that is?
Yeah, so the landing rate count is literally how many mosquitoes per minute are landing on us while we're standing out here. So that goes part to our control method. So we're surveilling with the cubs or with our traps, and then we also do landing rate counts. The other tool we have here, sophisticated piece of technology, is a dipper. So we'll actually go dip standing water with this little cup here, and we'll actually catch the mosquitoes in the larva stage, and we can actually monitor where the mosquitoes are at in their life cycle. That'll help us on how we control them.
Cool. Can you teach me how to do that little dip cup technique?
I can teach anybody how to use a dipper. We actually got some water over here, and we're going to go do some dips.
All right.
Where do I go?
Sam.
Yeah, you guys go ahead. Let's
We're
turn around in these woods.
What is the
Follow.
average amount of mosquitoes that you guys would get back?
The average what?
Per trap?
Amount of mosquitoes that you guys normally see per trap?
Yes, that was it. What's the average per trap?
Oh, you wanted to know what the average
What's
was
about
per
the
trap?
average you collect per trap?
It really depends on the location. We have some sites that can be a couple of thousand is the average. We have some sites that it could be maybe 100 or so. It really depends on the location where they're at in the county. Like you said, there's just some areas that have much more prolific breeding sites, and we just get a lot of, we get a lot more adults. And then also with that species, they're just they're more prevalent at certain times of the year also. So it really does fluctuate. But
so the areas that are more prolific with the breeding sites, are there factors in the environment that are leading to that, that either we're causing as a human or it's just environmental?
Did you hear that? Okay.
Absolutely. Do you want to go out to the road? Or?
Yeah, we'll go. I'll keep.
Yeah, absolutely. We get out in the Glades area. Our traps they're literally butted right out of Lake Okeechobee.
On this side.
There's a couple of species that come out of the floating vegetation out there, and there's just literally thousands of acres of it out there on Lake Okeechobee. So when they're hatching out, they're flying off the lake, and then they're generally flying east to where we are in this part of the county. So some of those species can be disease vectors, others aren't, but we're just always monitoring those. We'll get bugs that actually fly like up out of the Keys. So some of them have a tremendous flight range. They can fly up to like 70 miles per night. And So that's why we're always setting these traps, because it just kind of gives us a pulse on what's going on throughout the entire county, you know, on any given night. So we got some water over here. We're gonna teach Sam how to use the dipper.
All right. Okay.
So the preferred method is to scoop the water. So there's a couple of techniques. You can kind of scrape along the top of the water, because you saw how the larvae were just sitting on top of the water.
Uh-huh.
And then we'll come in there and we'll take a look at the water. It looks pretty good.
So far.
And then also we'll kind of like plunge it down in there and try to catch some. They like to hang out where they don't get eaten by fish, so they'll be kind of if there's any kind of structure oriented in the water, they'll kind of gravitate to it. This area is looking pretty good.
Can I try?
Does good mean a lot of mosquitoes or a little mosquitoes?
What do you mean? Good as in not a lot of mosquitoes.
Got it. Okay.
There's been times where you can get like a couple hundred larvae into that one scoop, and then you multiply that by how much footage of water is in there, and you're kind of like, this could be bad. All right, Sam, give it a...
All right, here I go.
That's a good spot.
I don't think I see too much. EJ, what do you think?
I'd say the coast is clear for now.
All right, I'll try one more time.
Sam might have to get her feet wet.
Oh boy, here I go.
There you go.
Oops.
That's good technique.
That was the plop and dip.
That was the plot.
You go back, it's hard to see. You got to use some lab tools, huh?
Yeah. Hey, that's because mosquito control works. There's no.
That's
there's
a
no
very good
warning.
thing.
All righty.
Are you
You
trying
guys
again?
do a good job.
I think we're good.
All right. Well, now I know how to use that, so
You're pro
I can
now.
help you guys out.
We're hiring soon.
Yeah.
Two
All
openings.
right.
Two positions.
Field biology with mosquito control.
All right, I think we're gonna head back to the lab. We got some more stuff to show you guys in there.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Very cool. We are excited. Questions are coming in.
Okay, any other questions?
So I have some questions for you guys, if you don't have any. Have you ever heard that one type of, either like the male or the female, is the one that bites when it comes to mosquitoes? And do you know which one it is? Which mosquito bites, male or female? Does anybody know?
So you guys that
That's a great question.
want to answer, you can answer on the same strand with asking the questions here. Just go ahead and think which you guys think it is. We have responses of I heard that only the female mosquitoes drink blood.
Yeah, most people are saying
yep,
the
the
females.
females, yep.
All right, so votes for females?
Yeah.
I believe you're right, but I'm going to ask Steve. Steve, we think that it's the female mosquitoes that bite. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay, so the guys don't bite, it's the females. All right. Why do they bite? Why do they bite us?
Well, they need protein to produce eggs.
Ah.
So they can breed more mosquitoes.
Okay, so the females, in order to have eggs, need blood to make those eggs grow and develop. Gotcha. All right. So now we're back in the lab. So I think we're going to be putting on our lab technician hats now at Mosquito Control and kind of digging into some of the different equipment that they use here in the lab, which I think this is fascinating because this is a lot of fun dealing with microscopes and stuff. So Steve, we've got the trap from outside. We brought it into the lab. Now, what do we do with this trap of live adult mosquitoes?
You gotta freeze them
Oh!
so they'll hold still and we can ID them.
Okay, so we're going to freeze.
Let's take a look at our deep freezer here. This is great for freezing them quickly, but we also use it when we have virus issues going on, we have to keep it at that super low temperature so the virus stays detectable.
That is definitely
One of
super
the
low.
cool pieces of equipment we have. Let's open it up and put these in there.
We have a question about why do the mosquito bites itch after we get bit by a mosquito? Or I guess now that we know we get bit by a mosquito, why do we itch afterwards?
Well, they have something when they inject in to make you not feel the bite, as well as an anticoagulant, which makes the blood flow easier. So after they bite, a lot of times that's when you feel that itch, or maybe you'll get a bump or something like that. Most people are allergic to that, and it gives them that little bump on their arm or wherever they got bit.
Huh. Do you get a bump on your arm?
I do. EJ
Okay.
doesn't. He's been bit so many times he doesn't even get bumps anymore. Let's take a look at the microscopes over here and take a real close look at the bugs.
Okay, so after you've frozen the mosquitoes, the live ones, the adults from the trap, then you bring them over to your microscopes. And what are you looking for with these? Because you mentioned that there's many different types of mosquitoes. Why is it important that we determine what type of mosquito we have?
Well, like we mentioned earlier, different ones can carry or transmit different viruses. Different ones have different places in the ecosystem. They have different habitat. So knowing the type helps us match up the type of habitat and where we may be able to control them.
All right. So I see you've got something up that's talking about mosquito anatomy. I see you've got your items ready to view under the microscope. Will you kind of walk us through what you do?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's turn around and take a quick look at the anatomy diagram here, just so you guys have an idea of what I'm talking about. On the left, we have a larval anatomy diagram. We don't use this one as much. It's a little more complicated to ID, but on the right over here is an adult, and it has three different main parts: head, thorax, abdomen, and we're looking, you can see all the tiny little wording and the different features. So any one of these features can be something that gives us a clue to what type of mosquito it is. So in order to ID them, you need to know the different parts so you know what you're looking at. We have keys to help us with that. So let's take a real close look up under the microscope.
Okay.
I'll zoom in on it, and you guys can get a look up.
Oh, it'll come up on the screen.
So how often do you guys go out in the county and actually do the different traps? Do you have to put them out one day and then come back another day? What's your process for collecting? And then how often do we get collection samples throughout our county?
So we'll actually, that trap that I showed you guys, we'll set that out twice a week. So it'll go out one night, it'll run all night. We have one of our inspectors, he'll come the next day, he'll pick that trap up, bring it back to us. We can go through, identify and count that collection. He'll go back out on Thursday, and then we pick it up on Friday. So twice a week, every week, pretty much throughout the entire year, we're checking these, we're checking these stations that are throughout the county.
Okay.
A student wants to know if it's true that mosquitoes are attracted to a specific blood type. So are they looking for, do they get the scent and are looking for a specific person to attach to?
If they eat a lot of Skittles.
All the kids that don't do their homework, it has been said that they get bit by more mosquitoes. It's anecdotal. We're not sure. So we have we have our collections up here under the microscope. We just wanted to give you guys an idea of the size, the color, the scale patterns, just the variability of the different species of mosquitoes just here that we have in the county. So up at the top, we have this is a female mosquito on the left. You can see her proboscis that she's using to collect blood meals. And on the right, you can see the male has these like fuzzy, they're called palps. And the males are actually nectar feeders. So they're not taking a blood meal, they're actually getting nectar from live plants, and they're actually a pollinator. So you can also say that they're part of that cycle too, not just as far as food as life cycle, but also for the plant cycle also.
Yeah.
Down below, anything different?
Yeah, we got some more for you guys here.
How
This is
long
one
does
of
it take to go through an average collection of species to sort out, to figure out how many species are in that trap?
It depends. Like if it's a large collection, like the one that you guys saw under the lamp, we do a technique. It's called aliquoting, and so we'll count and identify a small portion of that, and then we'll multiply it times the rest of the collection. That way, we're not literally just spending our whole day sifting through thousands of mosquitoes. And so that, I would say maybe, it just depends. Maybe like 10, 15 minutes. It depends on, how busy we are. Also, we have some trap collections that have.
So very similar to how in an ecosystem, somebody would take a population size of like deer in an area or wolves in an area.
And then also some of the sites that we have, they really do catch a very wide variety of species. So we have to take our time and go through there. And then some of the variability between different species is so small. I mean, we're almost like we're just looking at small scale patterns on a part of the mosquito. And so for us to actually correctly identify it, it does take some time, and it takes a keen eye. We've been doing it for a long time. We look at them every day, so it's kind of like second nature to us. But it really is a skill. We're looking at size. We're looking at color. You can see the very pointed abdomen on this female here compared to this more bluntly rounded abdomen. And so, and also like we were saying, so each species has a specific breeding location that it likes. Like that one on the right with the pointed abdomen, that's like flooded swamps and woodlands, like pretty much where we just were to pick up the trap. The one on the left is that's a Culex nigerpalpus. That's a very general breeding area. Pretty much anything that has flooded water, ditches, swales. They're more like a generalist. And then we also, so these two, like females on the bottom part there, you notice how similar they are? They're actually two different species. So the one on the right is that's the black salt marsh mosquito, Aedes taenarynchus, almost strictly in salt marshes and tidal pools. They are salt tolerant. The one on the left is a Cerophora columbia. They breed out of flooded pastures, flooded ditches. Another thing to think about is when we do see a particular species in our collection, we kind of know of what stage we're at as far as like standing water throughout the county. So if we know we're getting columbias, they're very large and they're fairly aggressive, and they're quite a nuisance. So whenever they're flying around, we're getting calls from the public. They're like, "Oh my God, these giant mosquitoes are biting me. What are you guys doing about it?" And so when we see them, we'll see these numbers like pop up. It'll be like, it could be slow, and then we'll get, a good rain event, and we'll get this huge spike of columbias. And then it's like, we know that we have to get out there and, help the people out.
What's the most popular species that we have in our county?
It's definitely Culex nigerpalpus. That, like I said, that we actually looked at that one. They're just a very general as far as their breeding sites go. They do require water to lay their eggs, so they will lay their eggs directly onto standing water. That's her right there, and that by far is just probably half of the mosquitoes that we collect throughout the entire county. That's probably half of the overall numbers that we get. And so this month, I think we average about 10,000 mosquitoes per night for the entire county. That's probably almost half of the entire collection is Culex nigerpalpus.
So EJ, in this sample, or Steve, in this sample, which one of these mosquitoes could really be a problem as far as transmitting disease? Is there anyone that you see that's something that you're like, oh, that's a doozy?
Actually, the one that we just looked at is one of the main ones, Culex nigerpalpus, and also
The most common?
The most common one.
These ones are all fine. They're all dead. You don't have to worry about these ones.
Right.
this one here is a container breeding mosquito called Aedes aegypti, or the Asian tiger mosquito is the common name.
When you say container breeder, you mean like it needs to have water that's like being held in like a bucket or a container. It's not like water like we just pulled out of the little ditch over there. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be much either. These guys are adapted to living close to humans. That's what they do.
And they're so pretty when you look up close at them, when you see all their little feelers and it looks like little feathers. So, but I think Heather, I think this is a good time to maybe show that video to show that these little guys are not that cute when they're in action. So I don't know if now you can go ahead and play that video.
I most definitely can.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Stay tuned. We're gonna go ahead and get you guys going on a quick little video. Whoops, wrong one.
This video is really cool. I really think you guys will get a lot out of it.
All right, here we go. Here we go.
This is the deadliest animal in the world. Mosquitoes kill hundreds of thousands of people each year. The most vulnerable people, children, pregnant women. No other bite kills more humans or makes more of us sick. So what makes a mosquito's fight so effective? Receptors on the tip of one of her other needles pick up on chemicals that our blood vessels exude naturally and guide her to it. Then she uses this same needle like a straw. As her gut fills up, she separates water from the blood and squeezes it out. See that drop? That frees up space to stuff herself with more nutritious red blood cells. With another needle, she spits chemicals into us. They get our blood flowing more easily and give us itchy welts afterwards. And sometimes, before she pries herself away, she leaves a parting gift in her saliva. A virus or a parasite that can sicken or kill us. There's nothing in it for her. The viruses and parasites are just hitching a ride. But this is what makes mortal enemies out of us and mosquitoes. They take our blood. Sometimes we take theirs, but often not soon enough. Good, you're still there. These are the larvae of Culex pipiens, aka the common house mosquito here in California. Gross, right? Well, you can avoid them by emptying your rain gutters, pet water dishes too. While you're at it, subscribe. We have so many more science videos coming your way. See you next time. You booked a cozy Virgo mountain cabin.
All right, and back to you all.
Okay, are you guys back to us here in the lab?
Oh.
We are back.
Hey, Steve. That was really creepy, by the way. That was just made my skin crawl even more. But I see that you're back at the microscope here, counting away, looking at the information that you've collected from your sample trap. And What are some of the things that you do with the information that you get from all of your surveillance, from your traps, from the dip cups? What do you do with all that information?
Well, the idea behind it is that we can see trends in what's going on when there's changes in the population of mosquitoes. We log it all into an app called Field Maps. It's a GIS-based system, and we're able to create averages and kind of what we expect, and then look at those trends and make good decisions based off of the trends that we find in the data.
Wow, so you're doing all the computer science and analysis. That's really cool. Could you maybe show us some of the information that you collect on the computer?
Yeah, let's take a look back over at the monitor. I can show you the system that we use for logging all of this.
While you're doing that, we have students who are asking if it affects the time of the day when mosquitoes actually affect by coming out. So
they're definitely more active. They're definitely more active in the evening and the early hours of the day and at night. The heat of the day, they're kind of like us. They're not typically out flying around, but definitely dawn and dusk is a pretty popular time for most of the mosquitoes. There are some species that do bite during the day also, though.
So this is called the dashboard. It's an application that we use. It's a user-friendly kind of software. All the data gets plugged into this. You can see on the map there's a few different icons and symbols. Like this one here. This is an aerial spray pending. We're actually planning an aerial spraying because of the number of mosquitoes that we've seen lately. A couple other ones. You can see a trap site here. This is one of the places where we actually set the traps every week. All of our complaints and everything else are logged through here. If you go into any of these records, this is where somebody's called us in and said, hey, I need help. I'm being attacked in my backyard. Can you please come out and see what you can do for us? So all the data that would be on, old paper data sheets and that kind of thing, we're plugging into this system now. It makes it really easy to work through the data and make decisions, see the trends. Are the numbers up? Are they down? It makes our job faster and easier.
So are all the plain icons places you guys plan on spraying, or are those just locations that you normally spray in?
These ones are planned spraying. So we have the ability to go in and change the status of this request. Each dot represents a service request, but we can go into this system, click it, and there's drop-down boxes to change it. So this is aerial spray pending, meaning this is within the area that we plan to spray. There's another one like this light green kind of faded out W symbol is the western route, but it's been completed. So that just notes that an inspector has been out, taking care of the issue, and made the homeowner happy.
So I think, Steve, that kind of brings up another topic to talk about, and that is control. How you guys actually control mosquitoes, because we mentioned the aerial spraying, but what other ways do you guys control mosquitoes?
Well, we got a lot of different tools in our toolkit. There's a term in the industry called integrated pest management, meaning we've got dozens of different things we can do. That's either actually treating for adults, treating for larval stage mosquitoes, even educating the public. We have the entire county that we're working within, so any input we can get from the public to get involved and help us do our jobs better is great. There's even a biological control is something else that we do from time to time in certain cases. So let me grab this fogger here quick and show you this too.
While you're doing that, so we noticed that there were some areas that say CDC on there. So what exactly are those referencing? Are those areas that the CDC is monitoring that you guys have identified certain mosquito species?
That is, it's just our icon within the system. So it denotes a CDC light trap. It's just how the symbology was set up. So it's the same trap that we set out and looked at together. That's one of the places that we set a trap at.
Does the CDC stand for?
Well, CDC is Centers for Disease Control because the CDC developed this trap. During military deployments, it was something that they did where the military was working, and it's just something that the industry uses as like a standard trapping mechanism.
Okay, Steve, I feel like we're gonna be in the Ghostbusters movie here. This
Yeah.
is a pretty cool piece of equipment. I don't know.
What are you gonna call? Mosquito control.
That's right. That's right. What on earth is this?
This is a hand fogger that our inspectors use for spot treatments. So this is kind of a smaller scale type of treatment. If we go to an individual homeowner and we want to treat just around their house, this is the tool of choice. We've also got trucks we can use to treat bigger areas. We've got a helicopter on contract for treating the entire county. But this is, you gotta tailor your control method to the size of what you're dealing with, and this one is good for single family homes and smaller issues.
Oh, wow. So I thought it was kind of interesting. You mentioned a biological control. What is a biological control?
Well, a biological control is when you use one organism to control another. So we're really using one animal against another.
Okay. So interesting. So how would you do a biological control with mosquitoes?
Well, funnily enough, there's a fish called a mosquito fish that lives in Florida and in the southeast.
What do you know? Wow. So instead, kind of going back to that question of are mosquitoes important? They're part of the food chain. They provide food for fish, mosquito fish, and other organisms. And so let me understand this. If I had a little pond in my yard and I was getting mosquitoes that were breeding out of that pond, I could put some mosquito fish in there and that would help me limit the mosquitoes. Is that kind of accurate?
That's right.
Wow, I would love to see that.
Well, you can.
All
it's
right.
over here.
Oh, good. Show me. I got to see this. I got to see this in action.
All right, so let's take a look at our mosquito fish here. These are
Aww.
freshly caught out of Lake Osborne, one of the local lakes.
Cute.
They're native to the area. It's kind of one of those win-win control methods. You can use these guys and they're doing the work for you while you're sleeping.
How many mosquitoes does the average fish eat daily? Or
They've been found to eat up to like 40 times their weight a day in mosquito larvae. They can.
Wow.
So we've actually got some of these larvae. We figured, why not show you these guys in action?
Let's see the mosquito fish eat.
So will you guys introduce these fish into specific areas of standing water? Like even especially like maybe after we've had a hurricane?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Certain places that have permanent water throughout the year, they're already going to be in there, so you don't have to. But other places that flood temporarily and dry out, or say a large container like landscaping containers or an ornamental pond, these guys are perfect for it.
Do they?
Oh, I think you got one.
There we go.
That's
A little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
We see one. We see a whole bunch swimming.
Any other questions?
Hungry little fishies.
There's a couple questions about what did you guys go to college for? Was it biology? What made you want to get into this profession? How much schooling would you need to have for this type of a profession?
Sure. My position here requires a bachelor's degree in biology or a related field. What made me want to get into it? I've worked a few different places. Initially, I wanted to be a conservation law enforcement officer and ended up going a different route. The first job I got was more wildlife biology. Then I went to working for the state here, and then a job opened with Palm Beach County Mosquito Control. And I've always wanted to work for the county. I thought it'd be a great place to be, so that's how I ended up here. And the work is highly interesting, challenging. We get to do a lot of fun things: field work, lab work, inside work, outside work. Outreach events, stuff like this. It's really cool and rewarding.
I was kind of the other route. I actually didn't have any college to begin with. I started with land management, maintaining natural areas for invasive plants, and I kind of fell into mosquito control. It was like I had the experience in my other job. I got started as an inspector. I loved interacting with the people on complaints, just doing this kind of work. And I actually finished and got my associate's arts degree while I was working here at Mosquito Control, and that helped me qualify to work as a technician here in the lab. So it's kind of funny how, you know, there's more than one way to get, you know, to where you're going. So it's just kind of funny how I fell into it. It's one of those things. I grew up here, didn't really even knew of mosquito control, but you know, once you actually really get to learn what's going on here, once you're involved with it, and it's a great place to be.
Sorry, what other agencies do you guys work with in the county to make your job worthwhile and successful to keep the mosquitoes controlled for us that are living in the county?
We work with the Florida Department of Health very closely. When it comes to disease cases, there's some, you know, private information that we have to handle appropriately. They're a huge key partner for us. We work with Solid Waste Authority at times. We work with the regulatory agencies, South Florida Water Management, and other internal county agencies, just as things pop up. Like, you know, we worked at parks and used a site as a field testing site. So, you know, the county really gets to work with a lot of different entities. You know, the state, FDAX, regulates our program. You get good exposure to all the different agencies within the state.
Another question that came in, the students want to know, what's the most effective method of mosquito control that you use or that you see?
Well, it's not just one, it's all of them in a combination. Each one has a piece in the puzzle. When you add them all together, you get that full control. We can't just focus on a single one. And it's great to say aerial. You can go spray the whole county. How easy? You don't have to do anything. But you got to do all this other stuff and add these pieces in to help with it too. If we just relied on one, we wouldn't be able to control them as well as we do.
Yeah, I'd say education. Just we go to a lot of complaints. There's a lot of people who lived here their whole life. They had no idea about mosquito control. We can walk them around their yard. We can show them where mosquitoes are breeding at on their own property. I would probably say, aside from aerial with the helicopter, education is probably the two biggest tools we have in our box.
So when you say education, guys, what do you mean by that? Like, for me as a homeowner, as a person that's living here in Palm Beach County, you were mentioning that the homeowner could be creating their own problem. How could I, as a homeowner, or how could everyone that's watching this kind of do their own mosquito control and help you guys out? Because you have a big geographic area to cover. So what's something that I could do as a homeowner?
You can check your own yard for any standing water. You can talk to people about it, make other people aware. If you see a problem, give us a call, let us know. Those reports from the public are great, just to tell us where to start looking.
Okay.
Around the home, around your school, anywhere that you go regularly, you can stop an issue before it happens.
All right.
Do you have a hotline number, like 911 or something like that?
Well, they can actually, the best thing to do is to go on our website, so pbcerm.com, and on there is a link for mosquito control, and you can actually put your request online for them to come out and see if you've got some things going on your property that you need help with. And then following up with that, there is also a phone number that you can call after aerial spraying has been completed to see what the status is. So the best place to go is the website.
And that website will be going to your teachers. I will make sure that is sent out with the follow-up pictures.
Does anybody have any other questions? I don't know how we are on time right now, Heather.
I specifically have a question based off of you talking about the control method. So you said that there's no necessarily one way. It's, you know, a mishmash of using, you know, a bunch of different things. So once you find the perfect thing for that one area, does it change throughout the year? So your perfect prescription, or is it based off of seasonal changes? So does it kind of, your prescription for an area change over time throughout the year?
Every year is different. That's why we have to get in the field and verify what's going on. It may be one type of mosquito last year. It might be something completely different this year. That's the reason for getting the inspections done and seeing what's going on out there.
Yeah, we're waiting on the rain. When it rains, it pours around here. So we get a lot of water. We're starting to get calls from people. The population is popping up. Yeah, it's definitely going around. We have areas that we go around and check. We kind of taking temperature of where they are in their larva stage, adult stage. So
it's dynamic.
Basically,
yes.
that you basically control based on what the mosquitoes are doing. What species are proliferating in certain areas, and that's how you kind of have to cater your treatments, because
exactly.
it could be the container breeders that we talked about, or it could be the floodwater breeders, and so you have to take into account all those variables.
Like an aerial spraying operation will not control container breeding mosquitoes. It won't do it based on the way that they go through their life cycle.
Okay, so
Are there specific things that we as citizens can do to make sure that our homes and our areas that we're going to school and our neighborhoods are not breeding grounds for mosquitoes? So are there any simple things that we can do in the community?
Anything that holds water, mosquitoes can breed out of it. This plastic cup right here, I mean, you could literally have hundreds of mosquitoes that will emerge out of there. So kids can go around their yard in their neighborhood, anything, a kid's toy, a bucket, a frisbee. I've literally seen an empty can of cat food have mosquito larvae in there. So anything that can hold water, it can breed mosquitoes. I mean, really, no joke. So I would start there. I don't even want to get into landscaping with the bromeliads, but yeah, I would start there. If they're walking around and you guys are getting tagged by mosquitoes, like, oh man, where did they all come from? Call us. That's what we're here for. You can go online to our site. You can call us on the phone. We're here. And yeah, when it gets to that level, that's kind of when you need to call in the big guns.
and clean your gutters.
So you
Gutters.
Don't remind me.
you will walk around and educate them on
Absolutely.
if they called you and
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what our inspectors do most of the time, is point out places around the house that they're coming from.
All right, students, do not forget to make sure that you're filling out the Google form. We do appreciate you guys attending, and if there are any last-minute questions, feel free to go ahead and ask them. There is a QR code that is on the screen that you guys can use a cell phone to scan in, or you have the internet forum going across the HTTP going across the bottom that you guys can go ahead with the URL and either screenshot it and fill it in after we get done, or you can go ahead and type it in on another browser.
All right.
I don't think
Thanks
we have
for
any other
doing
last
this.
minute questions. So, sorry, Sam, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say thanks for watching, but if anyone has any questions, feel free to even contact us after.
Well, we appreciate it. I think we all learned a lot.
This was very interesting. Thank you guys so much.
Who knew mosquitoes could be this interesting? All we do is throw them away.
We could do a part 2 too, just talking about other things. So this was the tip of the iceberg.
Definitely. Well, thank you guys very much for taking this time to educate our students in Palm Beach County, and thank you, ERM, for continuously working with us.
All right.
You're
see you
welcome.
next
Thank
time.
you guys.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Students, do not forget to fill out that Google form to get any kind of credit, and so we know that you guys attended, and so we know what you liked best about it. And we thank you guys for joining and hope to see you guys next month for our next field trip. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.